You don't need me to tell you that the daily cases in Victoria are worrying. The rolling 7-day numbers have been inexorable in their exponential growth. And while the numbers are falling in some suburbs, they're going up in others.
There's a little bit concern about the positive test rate in Victoria. At the moment, we're averaging about 60,000 tests per day, with a positive rate of about close to 2%, over 2%.
What data analyst Anthony McCarley is talking about is the proportion of people testing positive each day relative to the total number of tests. A positive rate of 2% is high and probably means we're missing cases in Victoria because not enough people are coming forward for testing. And that's one possible reason the numbers keep climbing.
You compare that to New South Wales. In the midst of their outbreak, they were averaging over 130,000 tests with a positive test rate about 1.3, 1.4%.
Demand for testing is now rising though. 71,500 tests were done in the last 24 hours. But as more cases emerge, the reopening plan remains unchanged.
We are absolutely committed to delivering on the timelines that we've put out there.
With lockdown not holding very well and breakouts linked to recent protests and grand final day gatherings, vaccination is the only way out of this. But if Victoria was following what happened in New South Wales, the curve should have started to flatten before this. New South Wales COVID numbers peaked at just over 1,600 a day on September 11th, when the vaccination rates there were 78% first dose and 46% second dose. Yesterday, the daily numbers in Victoria were 1,763, despite higher vaccination rates of 82.9% first dose and 53.5% second. According to Anthony McCarley, this paradox may reflect the Victorian vaccination strategy.
New South Wales had a real directed approach of going to specific LGAs and driving vaccination where cases were very high. In Victoria, it's still a very widespread state approach. The vaccinations overall are quite good, but perhaps some of the more vulnerable LGAs, ones where cases continue to rise, haven't got the vaccination rates just yet.
But there is some really good news in the Victorian data which clearly show that vaccination is working. Hospitalisation, intensive care unit and death rates have been slashed.
About a month ago, if you looked at the cases in the last 14 days, about 6% of those were admitted to hospital and 2% into ICU. Look at those figures today and they've halved. 3% in hospital and 0.7% in ICU. If you look at the case fatality rate of the second wave last year, we had about 800 deaths for over 18,000 cases. In the current wave, close to 60 deaths from 23,000 cases.
We've all been fixated on modelling for the last 18 months or so. But now we're probably getting beyond the models because we can see what's happening in countries like Denmark, which have opened in a staged way and completely opened on September 10th at over 80% full vaccination of the over 12 population. And the news so far is promising. Life looks normal again.
There will be people sitting in the bar and the shops will be open, and there have been several concerts with 50,000 spectators. It's total normal life. You couldn't see the difference between 2019 and today.
And so far, the case numbers and hospitalizations are reassuring.
For the hospitalization and ICU, it has stayed low, very low. And honestly, I think the key reason for Denmark's success is the high compliance with the vaccination program.
This is potentially good news for us, as we're following a similar staged approach to opening up. But Denmark's only a month into this. What do they think will happen next?
We don't know what will happen in the coming months, and the politicians, the authorities have said that if the number of hospitalization go up significantly, of course, some of the restrictions can be reimposed. But since we have started now to offer a third jab, starting with the elderly and people with immunity deficiencies, I think there is a huge effort now in retaining immunity in the more susceptible population. So a positive version would be that we will not see many COVID-19 cases over the winter, or maybe that it will just be what you could call a normal flu winter.
We in Australia are hopefully on the same path, with a careful and steady opening up and immunisation rates which may actually end up higher than even the Danes have achieved. If we can keep case numbers down, it looks pretty good.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.